This episode is brought to you by one and only Insider's Guide to Life in Australia. Download it for free. Simply go to englishmadesimple.net/guide. Cool. Now, before I forget, my intro. Amigos, you're listening to the English Made Simple show. This is episode number 187, number 187. Número 187. Let's get cracking! What's up, everybody? My name is Milena from EnglishMadeSimple.net, EnglishMadeSimple.net. How's it? How's it going? I better say, how are ya? How are ya? That's the Aussie greeting. So guys, I've decided to do a short episode today about some common misconceptions about Australia. I'm supposed to be on a mini break, actually, and this is the reason why this episode is one day late. For those of you who are new to the show, welcome amigos. I normally release my episodes on a Monday, every Monday. But I'm on a mini break, so you're going to be receiving episodes on a random day, okay? Great! So I hope to be back to my regular schedule in a couple of weeks. So that's out of the way. Now let's get cracking and demystify some common misconceptions about Australia. Let's get cracking means let's get started. That's Australian slang. Okay, the reason why I wanted to do this episode about Australia and its common misconceptions is because when I lived in Chile, I basically met some people who thought of Australia in a certain way, but that's not necessarily true about Australia. So I wanted to take this opportunity and bring this up in today's episode. So I'm going to call it 5 myths about Australia. I'm going to assume that the majority of people, not just Chilenos, think of Australia in this way. Okay, so I'm just going to start. Myth number 1. All Australians are blonde. Blonde means, you have the hair color is white, kind of white. So the common misconception number 1 is all Australians are blonde. Not really. And you will see why this is not true when I get to myth number 5, okay? So without going further into this one, I'm just going to say that this is not true. Not all Australians are blonde. So let's go. Next myth. Myth number 2. Oh, it's dangerous. Half of the world's venomous animals live in Australia and they are looking for you. They are really going after you. They have nothing better to do, but they are really looking for you, leaving their natural habitat and really looking for you. Where are you? They want to get you. This is not true, okay? They don't really care about you. Although I do have a confession to make before coming to Australia. So before moving from Australia from New Zealand, where I spent about 12 years of my life, I always thought it's really dangerous because there are snakes in Australia. I'm going to see crocodiles. I'm going to see spiders everywhere and so on. It's just some misconception I had about Australia, okay? On another side note, actually, I'm going to contradict myself now. Yesterday, I saw a spider in the car. I saw a spider. It's called a redback spider, and it's a venomous spider. It's not fatal to humans. Maybe to animals it's fatal and to little kids, but not to adults. I mean, it's not venomous to adults, but it does make you sick. So these redback spiders are usually hidden somewhere in the garden. If you live in a house and you have a garden, they will be somewhere under a rock or something like that, on a fence maybe. But this one, I wanted to catch a ride with me. It wanted to go for a little ride in the car. It was in the boot of the car, so in the back. So I basically opened the boot of the car and I wanted to put my laptop in there. And then I saw this thing. Whoa, okay, it's not huge. It's a small spider, but I recognized it because it has a distinct line on its back and it's red color. And I took a photo of this spider. Maybe I should post it on Instagram, or maybe not, because I know there are some people that might be really fearful of seeing spiders even on the photos. Anyway, so you know what? You know what happened after that? Nothing. This spider didn't touch me. It didn't really care about me at all. It didn't care that I was there looking at it. It didn't really care I was taking a photo of it. It was minding its own business. So I just took a stick and I removed it and I put it on somewhere on the side of the road, in the bush somewhere. So that was an interesting story, right? Now back to solving this myth about dangerous animals living here. So if you live in the city or in closer to the city center, you will not have any problems with spiders nor snakes. But if you live in the suburbs, like 30 kilometers out of the city, where there is a lot of land around you or there's a lot of bush, yes, you're more likely to encounter snakes, okay, and different types of spiders. Now, from my experience, I haven't seen a snake in the wild, okay? I've seen a snake in a park, but it was a kind of like an animal conservation park, okay? So these things, snakes and spiders, they're not that intimidating. They're more scared of you, okay? They're more scared of you. They will run away if they see you. So they don't really care about you. Just remember not to touch them with your bare hands. Do not approach them. That's all you have to remember. Now, if you see a wild snake close to your home, if you happen to be in Australia and you see a wild snake, you should contact somebody like snake catchers. Yep, that's an occupation. It's a job. Snake catchers. And these people will relocate the snakes far, far away from where you are, okay? So there is a job that relocates snakes, catches snakes and takes them out away from the population. But it doesn't kill them, okay? It's illegal to kill a snake. So do not approach a snake. Now, if you want to get more information about animals and, what are the other animals? We have jellyfish that are venomous. We have sharks that are dangerous. Yeah. Now, if you want to get more information, you can get the Insider's Guide to Australia. I explain more about these animals in the guide. So just go to englishmadesimple.net/guide. Alrighty. Now, myth number 3. Myth number 3. People think that it's always warm and sunny here in Australia. Well, that depends on where you are. The northern part of Australia, yes, it's pretty warm. There is a state called the Northern Territories. There's also Western Australia and Queensland that are very warm. Now, Queensland and the Northern Territories have a subtropical climate, which makes the weather humid and hot in summer. So you really need to have an air conditioning if you live in those parts of Australia. However, if you live in the southern part of Australia, like Victoria or Tasmania, then you will need to invest in an umbrella, boots, scarves, and hats during winter. It doesn't snow in the city, but it's really freezing. For example, tomorrow morning, because it's winter here in Australia, it will be 4 degrees Celsius in Melbourne. So I need to have a heater on tomorrow morning, okay? Otherwise, I'm gonna freeze, right? So it's not always sunny and warm. And guess what? We do have mountains and snow in Australia. You might not have imagined it, but it does snow in some parts of Australia. If you like skiing, if you're into skiing, you can explore the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, Mount Bulla in Victoria, then we have a couple of others in Victoria, Mount Hotham and Mount Bobo. I like that name. Right, so these mountains have skiing resorts too, okay? Myth number 4. Let's go to the next one. People always think that Australians are fit and they exercise every day because it's warm here, right? Or similarly, I hear people say, everyone surfs in Australia. Not really. I tried surfing and it's actually really hard, okay? Surfing is really hard. It looks easy when a professional does it, but it's actually really hard. Anyhow, you do get to see a lot of surfers in Queensland on the east part of Australia, more specifically on the Gold Coast, which is the second largest city in Queensland. There are good conditions for surfing there. Likewise in Sydney. You are able to surf on the Bondi Beach and Manly Beach in Sydney. However, if you live in Melbourne, for example, you would have to drive 2 hours to get to the nearest surf beach. So you don't get to see a lot of surfers around. You get to see polar bears. No, okay, that's a lie, okay? It's freaking cold compared to the rest of Australia, down where I'm at the moment in Melbourne. Right, let's go to myth number 5. People are cold and not welcoming. What? Listen up, people. Australia is a country of immigrants. Last year, 190,000 immigrants arrived in Australia. I've read somewhere that 43% of the Australian population is either born overseas or have parents that are born overseas. You will see all sorts of nationalities here in Australia. There's actually quite a nice mix, okay? Which is awesome. That's what I like about Australia, this cultural diversity. You get to taste all sorts of different ethnic cuisine. I always think of food when I think of cultural diversity. It's just cool that you can have Vietnamese food one day and then the next day you can eat you can have the Indian food. You can have Japanese food and then Thai food. Wow, just delicious. So many different flavors. And what's the Australian food? I don't know. It's quite similar to the English food, English from the UK. People normally eat fish and chips in summer, roasted meat and veggies in winter. A bit boring, I have to say. When you compare it to the Asian food that's full of flavor, okay? But the good thing is you can eat all sorts of food here in Australia. You can taste every food from every country almost. And yes, Australian people are warm and yes, they are welcoming. When you first speak with an Australian person, you might not understand them at first as they do tend to speak fast, and they also abbreviate words. It's just very common for an Australian to abbreviate words and names. But if you just say that you are new in the country and that you're learning English, English is your second language, they will make the effort to slow down and explain things in more layman terms. In more simple terms, in other words. Great! Now you can learn more about Australia in the Insider's Guide to Australia, which is at englishmadesimple.net/guide. Great! Well, thanks for joining me this week, amigos y amigas. You've been an amazing audience. You've been jamming with Milena. Until next time, hasta la próxima!